last lesson of the unit, we're looking at subtracting integers. So with subtracting negative numbers, there is an interesting little rule. So if you have subtracting negative, so subtracting negative, we don't want it to say negative negative. That looks ugly. So there's a rule that we call add a line to change the sign. So add a line to change the sign. So now instead of saying 2 minus negative 2, it now says 2 plus 2, which is 4. Again, it's just kind of a funny rule with adding negative numbers, because when we're subtracting, we're doing the opposite of adding. So if we were to think of it that way, we have a 2 right here, and we have a negative number. So we're going to go to the left if it was adding, right? Well, with negative, with subtracting, we go the opposite way. So we're going to go this way too. 1, 2. Now we're at 4. A little confusing, but let's look at another one. Negative 1 minus 10. We kind of have to start thinking of these as adding and subtracting. Instead, let's look at them as just positive and negative numbers. So I'm going to make this a negative. So we have negative 1, negative 10. So let's combine. Instead of saying adding, subtracting, combining, we're going to combine positive or negative 1 and negative 10. So if we had 1 negative and 10 more negatives, how many negatives do we have together? Well, we have 11. That looks very similar to a problem we already did. It's just a different way of looking at it. Let's have a positive or a plus sign right in between them. That would be the same thing. So when we're talking about negative numbers, we kind of have to think of combining and taking away, or combining rather than adding or subtracting. So let's look at this next one. 18 minus 41. So we have 18 positives and 41 negatives. So which one's the bigger number? Well, 41 is. So we take that sign of the bigger number. So we know our answer is going to be negative. So how do we get to that answer? Well, again, let's think of our number line. We have 0 in the middle. We have positive 18 somewhere over here. And we're going to be going to the left because this is negative 41. Again, thinking about combining rather than adding or subtracting. So we're going to go this way, 41. So from here to here, it's going to be 41. So 18 and 41. It's a subtracting problem. So 41 minus 18. Kind of going to go through this fast. So 11 minus 8 is 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. So we already know our answer is going to be negative 23. Again, I add that negative over there so I don't forget. So I know when I'm moving it over behind that equal sign that I remember to put that negative on the front of it. So let's go ahead and I'm going to have you try example number 3, negative 8 minus 6. Remember, add a line to change the sign. You can't have minus negative or negative negative. That doesn't make sense. All right, so go ahead and try that on your own and we'll go over it together. Had some time to do that on your own. We have negative 8 minus negative 6. Well, again, we don't want a negative negative, so we're going to add a line to change the sign. So now we have negative 8, positive 6. All right. 8 and 6, which one's the bigger number? Well, 8 is. 8 is negative, so I know my answer is going to be negative. So then I need to find the difference. The word difference between them, that means subtraction. Difference means subtraction. So let's put the bigger number on top. Minus 6. 8 minus 6 is 2. My answer is negative 2. All right, go ahead, try that last one, and we'll do it together. Remember, think of it as I have a group of positives, a group of negatives. I'm combining them. So sometimes I have to find the difference. Instead of thinking of I'm adding some numbers, I'm subtracting some numbers, try to change the way you think of them. We have a group of positives, groups of negatives, we're combining them. All right, try that next one. We had some time to do this one. So again, thinking about we have negative numbers, positive numbers, we're combining them. How do we do that? So we have negative 38, negative 30. Okay, so we have negatives and more negatives. So when I say more negatives, what are we doing? We're putting them together. We're adding. So we have negatives and more negatives. So since they're both negative numbers, our answer has to be negative. We can't have positives out of two groups of negative numbers. That doesn't make sense. We have negatives and more negatives. We're just going to have a big negative number. So I'm making sure that I note that it's going to be negative. So again, if we have negatives and more negatives, we're going to combine them. We're going to have a bigger number than we started with. So I'm going to add them together. 38 plus 30. 8 plus 0 is 8. 3 plus 3 is 6. 68. Well, my answer is not 68. My answer is negative 68. Again, positive 68, negative 68 are totally different numbers if we think about it. This is why it's so important to make sure you have the right sign in front of your number. The test will try to trick you up. It might have A, B, C, D, where this is negative 38, this one's positive 38, this one's 68, this one's negative 68. If we don't remember to add that negative, we're going to get it wrong. That's wrong. We want to make sure we say negative 68 because these are very different numbers. They are completely opposite sides of that number line. All right, so I hope that gave you a little bit of help understanding positive and negative numbers. If it helps you to just kind of write it on a number line like this, do it. It doesn't take much time to write a number line quickly on your paper. So I want you to go ahead, do those practice problems, and you'll be done with Unit 1.